He was called a visionary, a man of destiny, but history remembers him differently. This is the story of Cecil Rhodes, the man who stole a nation to build his dream of empire. In the 1870s, a young Englishman arrived in South Africa, chasing fortune. His name, Cecil John Rhodes. He came for diamonds and left with an empire. Rhodes bought claim after claim in Kimberley, building what would become De Beers, the world's most powerful diamond company. But his wealth came from the sweat and suffering of African miners, forced into dangerous pits, working endless hours for pennies, under the watch of armed guards. While the miners bled, Rhodes grew rich, and his ambitions grew even larger. Rhodes believed in a twisted idea, that the British were destined to rule the world. He once said, "The more of the world we inhabit, the better it is for the human race." To him, that human race meant white Europeans only. As Prime Minister of the Cape Colony, he expanded British control northward, seizing land from African kingdoms through trickery, force, and treaties written in lies. He named the conquered lands Rhodesia, after himself. But Africa did not bow quietly. The Ndebele and Shona peoples of Zimbabwe rose against Rhodes's men in what became known as the First Chimurenga, the First War of Liberation. Though the British crushed the rebellion, the spirit of resistance lived on. Rhodes's greed had not just stolen land, it had awakened a nation's fight for freedom. Rhodes dreamed of a British empire stretching from Cape to Cairo. But what he left was a legacy of racism and exploitation. His policies and beliefs helped plant the seeds of apartheid, a system that would later divide South Africa for generations. Even his scholarships, the Rhodes Scholarships, were built on wealth taken from African soil. He called it charity. History calls it colonial guilt disguised as generosity. Today, across Africa and the world, the name Rhodes sparks debate. His statues are being pulled down. His empire is being re-examined. Because to remember Cecil Rhodes is to confront a truth. That Africa's pain was someone else's profit. That empire was not built on civilization, but on chains. He dreamed of a white empire. But from the ashes of his greed rose nations that refused to die. This is Africa's story, of loss, of strength, and of freedom reclaimed. Move a camera, subscribe to Ancient Africa Tales, and discover the stories the empire tried to bury.